Hello, and a warm welcome to our show, Love Athletics. In this program, we bring you the latest highlights from our sport with expert input from different continental areas. Actually, we have no guest today, but a very busy program. So let's go straight to the action and check what's been happening in our sport over the last fortnight. So we'll start with the last event, the fabulous Millrose Games, which took place on the 8th of February in New York City. What a night! Two world records, a total of six area records, of which one tied the overall area record indoor and outdoor, two world under 20 records, one of which overall, and one world under 18 best. The New York leg of the World Indoor Tour proved that the unprecedented medal haul for U.S. Middle and long distance athletes at the 2024 Olympics was no one-off, as two Paris medalists set world records, very high quality records, and they were pushed all the way by another U.S. athlete. The Wanamaker Mile, the last event of the evening, saw a race of great depth. It was a thrilling battle between Olympic 1500-meter bronze medalist Yared Nuguse and Hobbs Kessler, who was fifth in Paris. Nuguse was visibly gritting his teeth in the final laps, but managed to keep up the pace to finish in 3:46.63 to take 38 hundredths off the previous record set in 2019 by Ethiopia's Yomif Kejelcha, as Kessler also dipped under the previous mark with 3:46.90 taking number 2 spot of all time. It was the first world record for Nuguse and his consecutive win at the Millrose Games Wanamaker Mile. Australia's Cam Myers, aged still 18, ran an amazing race, placing third in 3:47.48 to set the overall under 20 world record, both indoor and outdoor, climbing to number 4 in the senior all-time indoor lists, while also equaling the overall Oceania record, which had been set by Ollie Hoare in Oslo in 2022. France's Azzedine Habs was an excellent fourth in 3:47.56, the fifth best mark of all time in the indoor lists and a European indoor record, showing that at 31, the Frenchman can hope to achieve much more than his best so far, which is only a bronze medal over 1500 at the European indoors and a seventh place at the Continental Outdoor Championships. Final marks were impressive, and so were the splits at 1500 meters. Nuguse set a NACAC indoor record over the metric distance with 3:31.74, and Myers knocked over 2 seconds off another world under 20 record, clocking 3:32.67. A little earlier in the evening, another stirring battle in the 3,000 meters also saw two U.S. Athletes vying for supremacy and pushing each other to new heights. Grant Fisher, the Olympic bronze medalist at both 5 and 10,000, was facing Olympic 1,500-meter champion Cole Hocker, who was making his season's debut. Fisher was leading most of the way, but with 3 laps to go, Hocker had moved into the lead and resisted an attack by Fisher in the back straight of the final lap. But Fisher managed to get past Hocker right at the start of the final 50-meter straight and kept the lead until the finish line. Fisher closed in 7:22.91, the first man to dip under 7:23, also taking the world indoor record from an Ethiopian, Lamecha Girma, who had set it in 2023, as Hocker also dipped under the previous mark with 7:23:14. Further behind in fourth place, Australia's Kai Robinson set the Oceania indoor record with 7:30:38, taking 2.5 seconds off the previous continental best, which had been set by Cameron Myers just 6 days earlier. Now, interestingly, after the world record races, confidence was a word which came up a lot. Yared Nuguse stated, "I have more confidence from the Olympics, more confidence in my training." Cole Hawker, though visibly emotional after his second place finish, told the interviewer, "I think you can tell right now how much I hate losing," but added that in past years he had had some amazing races, but I never had the confidence that I had today. So that's a warning to all the other athletes out there. US runners are fast, strong, and confident, and the best for them may yet be to come. Now, more US talent was on show in other distances, as other US and NACAC record came tumbling down in the 800 meters from in-form Josh Hoey, who led from gun to tape, closing in 1:43.90 to move to number 3 in the all-time short track list, as runner-up Bryce Hoppel, the Paris Olympic fourth place finisher and 2024 world indoor champion, closed in 1:44.19, climbing to number 6 in the all-time short track list. Another excellent race, though without records, was the 600 meters with more US protagonists. 21-year-old Will Sumner, a member of the US gold medal winning 4x400 and 4x400 mixed relays at the 2022 World Under 20 Championships, clocked 1:14.04 for number 3 spot in the all-time lists, just ahead of compatriot Isaiah Jewett, who moves into number 4 with 1:14.17. Now, women's events at Millrose Games were not as excited. The top result came from home athlete Whitney Morgan, who clocked a very good 8:28.03 to win a high-level 3,000 meters race. And Olympic 100-meter hurdles gold medalist Masai Russell, who won the 60-meter hurdles in 7:76. There were also excellent under 18 marks, and we will discuss them later when we discuss the underage section of the program. So let's go back now to reviewing the World Indoor Tour in chronological order. So on 29 January, Belgrade indoor meeting was held, and like the inaugural meet in Astana, results in Belgrade were good but not exceptional, as many athletes were making their season debut there. The most interesting result came among the men, with the return to top form of Swede Tobias Montler, who had gone Achilles tendon surgery last September. The Swede moved into the lead on his 5th attempt, jumping 8:23, his longest mark since 2022, when he had soared to 8:38 to place second in the same arena and clinch world indoor silver behind double Olympic champion Miltiadis Tedoglu. The Greek was making his debut in Belgrade and was unable this time to produce his trademark come from behind 6th round leap, finally having to be content with 8:05 for an unusual 4th place. 4 days later, on 2nd February, the first US leg of the World Indoor Tour took place in Boston, the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix, and there things really started heating up with a series of excellent performances, especially among the men and especially among middle and long distances. Ireland's Andrew Coscaran won a great deal over 3,000 meters with Azzedine Habs clocking 7:30.75 to the Frenchman's 7:31.50. Josh Hoey had taken the 1500 meters in 3:33.66 over Grant Fisher, 3:33.99. Among the women, the best performance came from Britain's Melissa Courtney Bryant, who won the 3000 meters in 8:29.69 over the USA's Elise Cranny, 8:29.87. And as for the Millrose Games, there were great under-18 performances, and we'll talk about them later in their section of the show. But the best mark of the weekend in Boston had come one day before the World Indoor Tour meet on 1st February at the Boston University John Thomas Terrier Classic, where North Carolina's Ethan Strand had clocked a brilliant 3:48.32 in the mile, a mark which was then number 3 on the all-time short track list, better than the legendary Hicham El Guerrouj. At the bell, Strand was only third, but a last 200-meter lap in a sizzling 27:10 catapulted him to victory, and he had such a comfortable margin that, as you see, he could safely celebrate at the finish line. The 22-year-old collegian said after the race that his goal had been just to set the qualifying time for the mile for the for the NCAA championships to be held in mid-March. Well, he certainly achieved that, thanks also to the super fast track at Boston University. Remember last year on the race on 26 January when 6 men ran the 5,000 meters under 13 minutes and 10 minutes under 13:04? But a huge part of the merit goes to Strand himself, who on 7th of December had set the NCAA record over 3,000 meters in an excellent 7:30.15, moving then to number 14 in the all-time short track list. So as we said, a great year for U.S. middle distance runners. Cole Hawker, Yared Nuguse, Kenneth Rooks had taken a silver in the steeplechase at the Paris Olympics, Grant Fisher 2 bronzes. And now with Ethan Strand's performances over the last 2 months, he will definitely be one more athlete from the US to watch this year. And there were other names like Gary Martin, who shone in New York. There were other great performances at the Boston University track that day, and we will highlight the very best when we review all top marks. But let's get back now to the World Indoor Tour. On 4 February, Czech Indoor Gala took place in Ostrava, and this time the best performances came from the women. Over 3,000 meters, Ethiopia's Freweni Hailu, a 4th place finisher at the Tokyo Olympics and 2022 World Championships, who was controversially not selected for the Olympics last year, clocked 8:24.17 to register the best result of the entire fortnight among the ladies. In the same race, Great Britain's Ines Fitzgerald, the reigning under-20 European cross champion, placed 4th in an excellent 8:40.05, which moves her to number 9 on the under-20 all-time lists, cutting in half the Ethiopian stranglehold of the event, as their athletes, as we remember, had trusted the top 18 spots in the all-time lists for the event. Among the men, the best result had come from Belgium's Elliot Creston with 1:44.69 over 800 meters, and Hungary's Attila Molnar, who clocked a world-leading 45:08 over 400 meters, coming close to the European indoor record. On 7 February in Karlsruhe, Germany, notable results again came from the women's events. Olympic and world champion Malaika Mihambo leapt to 7:07, the first mark over 7 meters of the season. But the best performance of the meet came from Canadian shot putter Sarah Mitten. The 2023 world champion silver medalist blasted a huge throw of 20 meters 68, equaling her outdoor PB from last May. The throw is the longest indoors since 2013 and only the 26th result ever recorded from 2000 on, of which 18 are by Valerie Adams, while there had been hundreds of longer throws in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So let's look now at other stadium events, as there were some good performances recorded there. We will review most of them when we come to the top marks of the fortnight, but one deserves to be mentioned here, and that is the European heptathlon record of 6,484 points by Norway's world indoor silver medalist Sander Skotheim on 2 February in Tallinn, which moves him up to number 5 in the all-time indoor list. So finally, let's take a look at outdoor meet results, as there are some really good results being posted in Australia in outdoor events. In Canberra on 25 January, excellent performance by Australian sprinter Lachlan Kennedy, who shattered the Oceania record over 60 meters. The 21-year-old ran a sizzling 6.43, taking 9/10 off the previous mark, which had been set indoors in 1999 by compatriot Matt Shervington. New Zealand's Tian Whelpton was also below the previous continental best, clocking 6.50, while Australia's Joshua Azopardi equaled it with 6.52. 2 days later, also in Canberra, Canada's Evan Dunphy, the Tokyo Olympic bronze medalist over the 50-kilometer race walk, won the Supernova 10,000 meters race in 38:08:50, a NACAC and Pan American record, and a mark which brings him to number 14 in the all-time list for the event. Let's continue now with out-of-stadium events. On 1st of February, the Ras Al Khaimah half marathon took place in the United Arab Emirates, but unfortunately, with strong winds and uncharacteristically chilly temperatures, the winning marks were well below the usual very high standards for this race. Let's look at cross country. On the 2nd of February, the Cross Internacional Amendoeiras en Flor took place in Albufeira, Portugal, and this time the Almond Blossoms Cross doubled up again this year as the European Champion Club's Cross Cup cross country. Senior women individual title went to Francine Niyomukunzi, representing Italian club Cus Pro Patria, while for the delight of the home crowd, 3rd and 4th spots went to Mariana Machado and Maria Forero, who led their team, Sporting Clube Braga, to Team Gold. The senior men individual title went to Rodrigo Quizera over Thierry Di Cumuenayo, both running for Spanish club Playas de Castellón, who easily retained their team title. These were, however, the only victories for the Spanish club, who had dominated in 2024, winning 5 out of the 9 possible titles. This time, the strongest club overall was Turkey's Fenerbahce, who lived up to their strong tradition in the younger age categories, taking gold in the under-20 individual men with Ali Tunç, and both the under-20 team golds. 3 different Portuguese clubs also struck gold. Senior women team, as we saw for SC Braga, mixed relay for SL Benfica, and the under-20 women individual race for Sporting CP taken by Ethiopia's Hawi Abera. So it's good to see that there's a lot more diversity this year. So we've now completed our review of a very intense fortnight of athletics competitions, and it's time to look back at the global overview of our sport, checking all the best results since the last show, starting with the senior men's events. We will continue adding in brackets marks which are regular, which are listed in the respected Tilastopaya website, but which do not appear yet on the World Athletics list. So among the men, we mentioned Lachlan Kennedy, 6:43 over 60 meters. Over 200 meters, a world lead in Albuquerque, New Mexico by Johnny Blockberger of the US with 20.34. 400 meters, we mentioned Attila Molnar in Ostrava, while in Fayetteville on the 1st of February, 45.19 for Genoa McIver of the US. 1600 meters, we already spoke about Will Sumner and Isaiah Jewett in New York, moving to number 3 and number 4 on the all-time list. Number 3 in that race was Brandon Miller. His time is better than the number 5, but he already has number 2 from 2024. 800 meters, we mentioned area record for Josh Hoey and Bryce Hoppel right behind him. In Ostrava, Elliot Creston had run 1:44.69, and in New York, Jonah Koech won 44.82. Now, 1500 meter and mile, these are really long lists because that race was so amazing. So Yared Nugus with 3:13.74 tops the 1500 meters list, closely followed. He moves to number 5 on the all-time list. 3:31.89 for Hobbs Kessler in the split moves him to number 7 in the all-time list. Azedin Habs with 3:32.24 goes to number 9. Cameron Myers was still behind Habs at that stage of the race, 3:32.67, and moves to number 12 on the senior all-time list. Very good marks behind them. Robert Farken, 3:33.14. Neil Gorley, 3:33.18. Andrew Koskaran, 3:33.40. Ethan Strand, we discussed from Boston on February 1st. Back to New York with Gary Martin, 3:33.41, and Anas Essai of Morocco, 3:33.55. Also in Boston on the 1st of February, Robert Farken had clocked 3:33.61, while on the next day for the indoor meet, we had already mentioned Josh Hoey and Grant Fisher. Adam Fogg, also very good result in Boston on the 1st of February. And Ruben Verheyden, one of the rare results not from World Indoor Tour, 3:34.49 for the Belgian in Metz on 8th of February. Over the mile, the depth of this race is absolutely amazing. If you look at the points, it's scary. Yared Nugus, 3:46.63, that's worth 1,309 points. Hobbs Kessler is worth 1,305 points, but behind them, it's still very, very deep. Cameron Myers, World Under 20 record is worth 1,297. Azedin Habs, 1,296 points. Then Ethan Strand on the 1st of February in Boston, that was also a fantastic result, 1,285 points. Gary Martin, Neil Gurley, Andrew Koskaran, and Robert Farken, they all recorded performances which are worth at least 1,270 points. So really fantastic race. Just a little bit further behind, but still over 1,260 points, Adam Fogg in Boston on the 1st of February, and Robert Farken in New York on the 8th. 3,000 meters. Now here, the top two results are even better because Grant Fisher's world record is worth 1,312 points, and Cole Hawker is worth 1,310 points. Behind them, however, the other athletes were a little bit further behind. So, well, already we had George Mills, who on the 2nd of February in Val d'Ereuil in a World Indoor Tour Silver meet had clocked 7:27.92, which is the third mark of the year, 1,279 points. He was then number 9 on the all-time list, but of course he slid back after New York. Then very good, the rest of the field in New York, Jimmy Gressier, Kai Robinson, as we saw, with an area record, Cooper Teare, and Dylan Jacobs. So very, very good marks. Andrew Koskaren, we had mentioned, had run very well in the Boston leg of the World Indoor Tour, as had Azzedine Habs and Cameron Myers. Hobbs Kessler also on the 2nd of February in Boston, and Jan Schrub closes our list with 7:35.11, which he clocked in Metz. Over 5,000 meters, these results are all from the Boston University meet on the 1st of February. Jimmy Gressier, 13:00.54. Behind him, another Frenchman, Romain Legendre, 13:02.08. Then Hampton Samuel of Eritrea, Eduardo Herrera of Mexico, and John Hymans of Belgium. 60-meter hurdles. Now, sprinters and hurdles have been a little more quiet this year. The focus so far has been mainly on middle and long distance runners. But Dylan Beard, he had an excellent 7:38 at Millrose Games. On the same day in Łódź in Poland, 7:39 for Jakub Szymanski, who improved his previous mark, and he's now the sole number 2 European of all time. Dylan Beard had also clocked 7:42 in Clemson on 32 January, and Grant Holloway also 7:42 in Boston on at the New Balance indoor meet on 2 February. Pole vault, Chris Nielsen jumped on the 31st of January in Caen in France, the first result over 6 meters with 6:01, while Emanuel Karalis of Greece continues to improve his national indoor record, first with 5 meters 90 in Caen, and then in Łódź in Poland with 5 meters 92. Very interesting result from Jacko Gill in the shot put. Outdoors in New Zealand, he threw 21:85 in Auckland on 9 February. And finally, we have already mentioned Sander Schottheim with his 6,484 points. So lots of excellent results among the men. Let's now check the best women's results of the last fortnight. Now, this first mark is not that exceptional. If you look at the points, it's not even 1,200 points, but still Eva Svoboda and Patricia van der Wecken tied the number 11 mark of all time in the 50 meters indoors. Over 3,000 meters, Freweny Hailu, as we said, in Ostrava, 8:24.17, best female performance of the fortnight. Whitney Morgan in New York, 8:28.03, also very good. Melissa Courtney Bryant, that was in Boston at the New Balance indoor. Josette Andrews came behind Whitney Morgan in New York with 8:29.77. So US ladies are also doing well in the middle distances. Elise Cranny on 2 February in Boston. Then Ireland's Sarah Healy and Jessica Hull in New York. Long jump, we mentioned Malaika Mihambo and her 7:07, and shot put 20.68 for Sarah Mitten. In the pentathlon, 4,843 points for Finland's Saga Vanninen, who moves to number 16 of all time. So that's it for the senior athletes. Let's look now at under 20 and under 18, because there were some really good performances there. So starting with the under 20, 60 meters, Nigeria's Joshua Caleb. Now, he had already run 6.57 on the 10th of January in Reno. And on the 25th, also in Reno, he clocked 6.59, which equals the number 13th performance, under 20 performance of all time. But he already had the number 6, which was that 6:57. Also 6:59 in Osaka on 2 February for Japan's Naoki Nishioka. 300 meters, Jaden Mims of the US at Melrose Games clocked 32.64. That moves him to number 11, equal on the under 20 all-time lists, indoor and outdoor. That list is mixed. On the 400-meter short track, and we'll talk about him later, Quincy Wilson, 45.66, world under 18 best. 1,500 meters short track, we've already mentioned Cameron Myers' world under 20 record in the split for the mile, and of course another world under 20 record, this time the best ever 20 mark, under 20 mark, both indoor and outdoor, for Cam Myers. And on the 1st of February in Fayetteville in Arizona, Brian Musange Munyao had clocked 3:54.78 and moved to number 2 in the under 20 all-time short track list. Over 3,000 meters, Cameron Myers on the 2nd of February at the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix had run 7:33.12, which at the time was an area record, but was then improved by Kai Robinson. In the shot put, very good mark by the Netherlands' Jarno van Dalen with 20 meters 55, and he moves to number 5 on the under 20 all-time list. Finally, 5,000 meters race walk, Giuseppe Di Sabato, 19:26.70 on February 1st in Ancona, and he moves to number 12 in the under 20 all-time list. Among the women, now this is crazy, because if you look at the 60 meters short track list, the first 3 athletes, they're all in fact under 18, but their marks are so good that they're also in the top 15 of all time among the under 20s. So Lisa Ray, will talk more about these 3 young ladies. Lisa Ray, 7.13 in New York. Behind her, Melanie Doggett of the US, 7.17. Kelly Douala clocked 7.19, just a couple hours before the other two young ladies for what was then number 2 equal on the under 18 all-time list. 1500 meters, Saron Berge in Metz clocked 4 minutes 04:51 to move to number 5 in the under 20 all-time short track list. Birke Heilom in Val de Reuil on the 2nd of February for 08:01. That was then number 11 in the all-time list, but she already has the number 1 mark of all time from last year. And on 2 February at the New Balance Grand Prix, 4:09:84 for Sadie Engelhardt of the US, who moves to number 16 on the under 20 all-time list. In the mile, Birke Heilom in Val de Reuil for 25:44 moves to number 5 in the under 20 all-time list. Sadie Engelhardt on the 8th of February for 27:97 moves to number 7 in the all-time list. 6 days before at the Boston Indoor Grand Prix, she had run for 29:34, which was then number 9, and Rachel Forsyth of Canada for 34:02, which at the time was number 16 on the under 20 all-time list. She ran that back in January, so she was after that pushed down. 3,000 meters, we already mentioned Ines Fitzgerald, who clocked the 3rd best time of the year and moves to number 9 in the under 20 all-time list over 3,000 meters. Pentathlon on 2 February in Tallinn, 4,478 for Croatia's Jana Koschak, who moves to number 9 on the under 20 all-time list. So, time to look now at the under 18s. We'll go quickly through it and we'll discuss some of them in more detail below. So 400 meters, we mentioned 45:66 for Quincy Wilson. 800 meters, 146:86 for the USA's Cooper Lutkenhaus. This was at Melrose Games. On 26 January in Ancona, Italy's Umad Caraccio had run in 151:08, which was then equal number 17 on the under 18 all-time list. Over 3,000 meters, Metz on 8 February, 7:50.55 for Ethiopia's Hailu Ayalev, and on 7 February in Valencia, 8:02 for 54 for Xavi Canivayes of Spain. Hailu moves to number 5 on the under 18 all-time list, and Xavi moves to number 9. Heptathlon, under 18 implements, 5,818 points for Maël Benfassou-Lanurien of France on 8 and 9 February in Lyon, and he moves to number 5 on the under 18 all-time list, while behind him, his compatriot Kilian Thochan with 5,489 moves to number 10 on the list. Then we come to the women and their amazing sprints. So Lisa Ray 7:13, Melanie Doggett 7.17, Kelly Douala 7.19. Lisa Ray had already clocked 7.24 on 24 January. At the time, that was the equal number 4 on the under 18 all-time list, but that's changed quite a bit. Over 800 meters, very good mark on February 1st in Ghent in Belgium for Britain's Shakira King with 2 minutes 04:34. And then we get to the hurdles, which is another event which saw a lot of very good performances. On 9 February in Ancona, 8:07 for Italy's Alessia Succo. A week before in Karlsruhe, 8:14 for Germany's Daryl Ndazi. Alessia Succo had already run extremely well on the 25th of January. She had clocked 8:24 in the heats and 8:19 in the final. And Germany's Daryl Ndazi also in the heats in Karlsruhe, 8:22. There were other good athletes. Germany's Delisha Benilda Domingos in Karlsruhe ran 8:25, which was then equal number 9. And also on the 25th of January in Munich, 8:26 for Daryl Ndazi of Germany. So we had already discussed a world under 20 records by Cameron Myers when reviewing the Millrose Games. So let's now highlight world bests for the under 18 athletes, starting with the men. Over 400 meters, 16-year-old Quincy Wilson clocked 45.66 on 2 February at the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix in Boston to improve his own world under 18 best, set in the same race last year, consolidating his #1 spot in his age category and confirming his huge talent. There was another world under 18 best, this one set in New York at the Millrose Games on 8 February, where another American 16-year-old, Cooper Lutkenhaus, clocked 1:46.86 to take almost 1.5 seconds off the previous mark set by Ethiopia's Mohamed Aman back in 2011. Also in New York, the young ladies were equally impressive. Trinidad and Tobago's Lisa Ray, whom we've already mentioned several times on this show for her great results over the 60 and 200 meters this year, took things to the next level at Millrose Games with a sizzling 7.13, shattering the previous world under 18 best, taking 0.5 seconds off a mark which was set in 2022 by the USA's Shanti Jackson. And the crazy thing is that another athlete, Melanie Doggett, who is only 13, also ran under the previous best with 7.17. Totally impressive. Now, just hours earlier at the Italian Under 18 Championships, Kelly Douala had improved to 7.19, which was then the #2 in the all-time list, but was pushed further down by the girls in New York. There was still joy for Italian athletes, as on the second day of the Italian Under 18 Championships, hurdler Alessia Succo clocked 8:07 in the 60-meter hurdles, the 76.2 centimeters height, smashing the world under 18 best, which had belonged to France's Olympic silver medalist Sirena Samba Mayela since 2017. So with so much talent from all over the world, the future of athletics looks bright. Now, after the great news, some more sad news, unfortunately, as several protagonists of the world of athletics have left us. Various legends of our sports passed away in the last weeks, and we will honor them properly on our next show. But today, I would like to take a moment to remember 3 top journalists who I had the pleasure to meet at athletics events over the years and who also recently passed away. They are Hank Staudamm, Gianpaolo Ormezzano, and Maciej Petrushenko. Netherlands' Henk Stodam, up left in the picture, passed away on 22 December, aged 69, losing his battle with cancer. Stodam, who covered 13 Olympic Games as well as major global competitions in cycling, football, athletics, and gymnastics, started with smaller media outlets and joined major newspaper on NRC Handelsblad in 2001. He retired 20 years later. Italy's Giampaolo Ormezzano, top right, passed away on 27 December, aged 89. He was managing director of sports daily Tutto Sport between 1974 and 1991, when he retired but continued working for newspapers Guerin Sportivo and La Stampa. Ormezzano was also a respected TV journalist and author of 6 books. Poland's Maciej Petrushenko passed away on 27 December, aged 79. He had graduated in law and administration before completing postgraduate studies in journalism. From 1970, he worked at sports daily Przegląd Sportowy, where he mainly covered athletics and the Olympic movement. He was also a TV commentator for Eurosport, the press officer of one of the top Polish meets, and the author of a book on Irena Żywińska. Gentle Henk, larger-than-life Paolo, and eclectic Maciu. We will miss you. Let's look now at upcoming events as we reach the end of our show. In 2 days, on 13 February, we have the World Indoor Tour Gold meeting in Liévin. The following day, ISTAF Indoor 2025 in Berlin. That's a World Indoor Tour Silver. 15 February, Balkan Indoor Championships in Belgrade, and also the Meeting Indoor de Lyon in France, another World Indoor Tour Silver. 2016, Orlen Copernicus Cup in Toruń, the next leg of the World Indoor Tour Gold, and also on 15 and 16 combined events, Copernicus Cup. Then 2 World Indoor Tour Silver meets in Banska Bystrica on 18 February and in Neviži, Czech Republic on the 19th. Now, 21 to 23 is the weekend window for National Indoor Championships, and there will be lots of them, including US Indoor Championships on 22-23 February and South American Indoor Championships in Cochabamba on the same dates. 23 February, there's also activity on the roads and beyond. Guadalajara Marathon, Maysan Half Marathon, and the Sirikwa Classic Cross Country. That's a World Cross Country Tour Gold in Eldoret in Kenya. Then the final meeting of the World Indoor Tour takes place on 28 February in Madrid. 28 February and 1st of March, All-Star Perche in Clermont-Ferrand, the home of Renaud Lavillenie. 1st and 2nd of March, Chinese race walking Grand Prix in Taicang, the first gold event of the World Racing Walking Tour. 2 March, first World Marathon Major of the year takes place in Tokyo, Tokyo Marathon. 6 to 9 March, European Athletics Championships in Apeldoorn in the Netherlands. And on the Sunday 9th, also Nagoya Women's Marathon. 14 and 15 March, NCAA Indoor Championships Division 1. And 15 and 16 March, the European Throwing Cup in Nicosia in Cyprus. 16 March Seoul Marathon, 16 March Asian Race Walking Championships, 21 and 22, 23 March, the World Indoor Championships in Nanjing. And on the 22nd, Dudinska 50 World Race Walking Tour Gold event in Slovakia. So we're now at the end of the program, and it was really great reliving the amazing performances of the past fortnight from all age categories and continents. Now, tonight I'll be heading to Liévin, the meet that was ranked #1 in the world on the indoor tour for the last 5 years, though that may be a bit shaky, their position following the fantastic edition of the Millrose Games. Liévin has an excellent field once again, and we will post interviews from the pre-event press points tomorrow and from the mix zone on Thursday night as soon as possible. So stay tuned. Thank you all for watching, and the next regular Love Athletics show will be in 2 weeks, and we will again look together at the highlights, comments, and analysis of what has been happening in our sport over the past fortnight. Thank you. Bye-bye.